This is the Modern Craftsman Podcast with
Tyler Grace from TRG Home Concepts.
Nick Schiffer with NS Builders.
Johnny Waterhand, Vintage Builders, and
Paul Wurth with Buildertrend.
Nice. That was smooth.
That was smooth. Probably smooth as yet. As I trip over my words.
I don't know what that
awesome
was.
Intro. Cool. We're in the South Hall, right? SU10 is the booth number?
Correct.
Look at that.
Can't miss it. Huge RV.
Big Blue Buildertrend. So
Huge.
This podcast episode is sponsored by Buildertrend. We are sitting here with Paul, and you are the VP of Marketing and Sales.
Fancy pants.
Yeah. Sounds fancier than it really is. But that's correct. Yep. For Buildertrend.
What is Buildertrend?
In a nutshell, Buildertrend is a cloud-based communication system for general contractors, right? So it's a place where the three main parties on a construction job can all find information and communicate effectively in the cloud. So
Who are the three main parties?
Yeah, so in general, and this isn't for every industry segment, but you have the general contractor and their employees, subcontractors, vendors, and trades, and then the client. And of course, the general contractor is going to want to have a filter of how much information goes to who and when and what, and that's a really simple thing to do to set up and build a trend. Yeah.
So it's really, it's driven by the general contractor.
Yeah, that's the target, right? Because they are the faucet that turns on and off the information flow as they see fit. Some are wide open and say, hey, here's everything. Some want to limit it just for not only for their sake, but the other people's sake as well.
Mm-hmm. Too much information.
Yeah. We started 12 years ago, or this is our 13th show, International Builder Show.
That's crazy.
In a row, yeah.
Lucky 13.
A lot of time on the feet.
What was it 13 years ago? Like, what was the software?
A notepad?
Yeah, so, well, hey, when we started, there was no iPhone. Facebook had just started, so it was really a different world than we see today, right?
Sure.
So, selling web-based software in 2006 to contractors where they didn't have Wi-Fi or internet in the field was a
strong year.
bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard enough now, let alone 2006.
That's exactly right. It was a bit of a struggle, but you know what? Those calluses were good for our sales team back then, which consisted of basically me and a couple of buddies. So,
but how did it even come up? Like, who sat in a room and said, "Let's build cloud-based software or web-based"?
Was it a builder or was it a web-based guy thought it up?
No, so it was called web-based software back then. Now it's called software as a service, right?
Mm-hmm.
SaaS, and now it's called the cloud. It's all the same term. But yeah, so we have three co-founders, and they were all buddies in high school. They were friends of mine in high school as well, and later in college. Two of our brothers, and they had their own business doing website development for all industries.
I'm gonna pause you real quick. You get
closer?
the mic's super sensitive.
Eat the mic.
Yeah, eat the mic. Is exactly.
Somebody disinfect the mic.
Industry term.
Yeah.
Puff does that.
So three founders. They were buddies in high school.
Yeah. So they were buddies in high school. Two are brothers. They had their own business doing website development, and we developed websites for a few builders. Just they'd come to us, and they'd actually asked for this. Hey, can we get something that my subs, vendors, or even clients can log into on that backside of my website and get information I want instead of meeting up?
This was in 2006?
It was in 2006. So the actual general contractors came up with this.
So why were you building websites for builders? Out of any industry, what drove you to that industry?
Honestly, they would build websites for anybody.
Okay.
I think they were building websites for sororities.
Okay.
Restaurants, bars, and it just so happened they got a little niche with builders.
Yeah.
And then the third co-founder had some experience selling a really early version of web-based software to insurance companies. So you sort of mix in the technical and the business that the brothers had, and then the salesperson with the third co-founder, and that kind of was a good mix for everything.
That's crazy. I definitely would have guessed that there was a builder involved. So it was really, and it was strictly, you kind of fell into this niche, and they were coming to you with a problem, and you guys were like, we can solve it.
Right, and I think that is why we're successful.
It's a Vanilla Ice song.
Huh?
It's a Vanilla Ice song, isn't it?
That was very too legit to quit, whatever that was. That might start dating us a little bit. No, but yeah, that's exactly it. I think it's actually a huge advantage for us too, because there are a lot of softwares in our space that get started by a build. That's just a natural progression,
Sure.
right? There's something out there. I couldn't find anything out there, so I'm going to build it myself. But that's great, but it also comes from one perspective, right?
The builder, yeah.
Where we, as you put it really well, we just saw a problem and wanted to solve it. And we had no sort of hey, we do new home building this way, or we do remodeling this way, we're a cost plus, or we're not. It was just sort of very.
So I do use the software. I'm going to just say that, so I'm not sitting here pretending I don't know what's going on. But well, I asked the question. Yeah, I asked the question like, oh, what is this? But I think you're right. Like a natural progression would be when I run into an issue, like John, like you start tracking your jobs, you're using spreadsheets or something like that. You realize what information you need and you build that.
Yeah, I mean, right now I have Microsoft product to track my schedules, and then I have a spreadsheet that controls my budget, and then I use QuickBooks for my change orders. So there's 3 different platforms.
Right.
Yeah, but this is what I tell everybody. Those are 3 softwares. But what other platforms do you have? Email, text message, maybe a shared calendar, right? Sharing photos, things like that. I mean, they add up, and so that's sort of where our head was at, is like, let's get all the 7 processes into one place. And you kind of shoot for the middle, right? Because everybody does things differently. You know, our 3 main segments are like builder, remodeler, and then we call like specialty contractor, roofing, siding, windows, things like that. Those are wildly different businesses, right, on how they run it and different like experience. So there's no perfect like magic bullet for everybody, but you can kind of shoot for the middle.
Yeah, I feel like that's what most people don't understand. Even I get people ask me all the time what software. I don't know why they ask me that. Like, I don't ever put off this aura that I'm like use software in any way, shape, or form. But what I think that a lot of people think that you're going to get a software and it's going to solve all your problems and your company's going to run seamlessly.
That's what I thought.
You know, and I feel like it's just like
really?
you have to tailor it
You
and make
thought
it work for you.
I didn't believe it, but I looked at multiple platforms, but Buildertrend, I was like, this is going to solve.
So why did you get Buildertrend?
Why did I?
Yeah, you're the only one using it.
Yeah. So I mean, I told you I bought into it.
Why?
Because I wanted one.
What were you missing?
I wanted one platform I could log into and have all the information for all the jobs. I just wanted one place to keep everything. I wanted to be able to look at the budget and then click a tab and then look at the schedule and then.
So when you made this change, how many PMs did you have?
0.
And how many jobs were you running?
5.
Just trying to paint the picture.
Yeah, I understand. Probably 5, and then I gave up. I canceled my membership because it was like I don't have time to learn.
So this was a good avenue. Instead of hiring more management, you could lean on a software.
Yes, I thought I was going to lean on the software to replace the fact that I needed people to manage the job. Only to realize, Johnny, you were right, but I had to hire project managers, and that's when I said, now implementing some sort of system, whether it's a software, it's a spreadsheet. I chose going back to Buildertrend because I genuinely enjoyed working with them, and they were easy to.
Plus, it's already set up. So there's a learning curve that you can basically kind of just sneak into.
Right.
You don't have to think out everything.
And I think we're into. I keep saying 9 months. I should probably check, but I think we're like into it for 9 months right now, and we're still probably use 30-40% capacity using it. That's probably accurate. We're still not using the whole platform, but everyone's like, so why do you use it? And it's everyone's logging in, tracking their job, doing a daily log. When they punch in, they punch out, it hits the budget, so I can make sure that we're within budget on like line items. All of that's being automatically generated. It integrates back with QuickBooks, so then my software is, my accounting software is talking to it. But more importantly, it's that when the client, again, like you can turn it on, we turn the budget on, we turn the calendar on, we turn daily logs on a regular basis, so the client can log in and see what's going on.
Is that solving all your communication with the clients?
No.
With budget meaning? Or does it still need a face-to-face?
It still needs a face-to-face. And we're still doing handwork on the budget end. And to their point, it's like, I think cost plus is something that you, at least one of my, is he my sales guy or my point contact at Buildertrend?
Your Buildertrend coach.
My Buildertrend
That's
coach.
way cleaner than what you came up with.
Like that?
My coach, Brad, is very helpful, and it's, we do a lot of cost plus, and it's not as clean as I think it could be.
So are you, bring me up to speed. So I have a spreadsheet that I've had forever. And again, if I didn't want to make that spreadsheet, I'd probably turn to a software. Mm-hmm. You then create a budget for a product that's coming up. Mm-hmm. How are you putting it on paper? Are you going to your Buildertrend?
We build our spreadsheet in Excel. We have a full Excel spreadsheet. What we're using Buildertrend
Is that your
for,
template?
It's my template,
Yep.
but every month, what all the stuff that gets, so all our POs from subs, invoices, and like time clock, all of that stuff gets entered into the software and hits the budget.
How?
Because it's part of the software. So if you're my tile guy and you send me a proposal for 10 grand, I put it in as a PO.
But the how's? Sorry, I'm not.
That's okay.
I'm not trying to be naive. Is that you were eliminating emails? Is that going? How's that getting from your tile guy to the software?
So I wasn't referring to eliminating emails.
Yeah.
It's having like that one place
It's
where
catching
you
it.
email.
It's catching it.
It's the vehicle, right?
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
instead
also,
of-
but you can't. Like, I'm talking for you, but you can start. It can
He's
start
got
at
the
the bid.
Buildertrend vest on.
I
We
got
can
the-
let him roll.
This is
I know.
very official. No, I would rather hear it from Nick.
No, but like you can't. Like I can send it out to bid through the software. So it starts with pre-con.
Yep.
So I send,
So
hey,
you download the drawings. They're on that
he
platform.
just opens it up and says, do you want to price this? Yes. Okay.
So instead of it also eliminates Dropbox.
Correct. So now he gives me a price. I create a PO. I approve it, or he approves it. That's it. That goes into my budget, saying, "Hey, you're gonna owe 10 grand to him at some point." Hey, now, and then he bills me for 5,000 deposit. So what we're doing is that we're then pulling that every month into out of Buildertrend, like a CSV or an Excel file, whatever it is, and we dump it into our spreadsheet. We have a Buildertrend dump page in Excel, and it updates our whole budget. So when we send it, the client then sees, hey, this is what's been completed, this is what we billed, this is what we're billing now.
Percent completes.
And you can build through Buildertrend, but from our side, it's not as clean as we would like it. So we're utilizing.
But you're still pulling your information from it, so it's not like it's on.
It's just a collection. It's basically our collection agency for all the POs, the bills, everything. But even more like the time card. So I can accurately see how many hours have these guys spent building this staircase. I know.
We always go back to that staircase.
Well,
You
everyone
can
wants to
find
know
out
what it
exactly
costs.
how much money he's
lost.
losing.
Right.
What's the staircase story?
So this is a staircase.
Do you not want to
that-
get into it? Is it
No, I
emotionally-
get into it. I basically committed to building this staircase. It was supposed to be a regular staircase, and I decided to build a double U-shaped staircase at the same cost because I really wanted to build it. And I said, I'll write that off as marketing. And I told everyone I would track my hours to see how many hours we spent on it and how much we were over budget. And I haven't shared it, but it's like, last time I checked, because we have another week to go, I think we had 80 man hours accounted for, and we're at 320.
Huh, that's close.
So
Not bad.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it could be worse.
yeah, I
tough
mean,
beat.
I didn't do any magazine ads this year, so
Half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
the
how I wrote it
rationalization
off.
starts.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean-
like,
But
you know.
it was like,
You could have got up like a half of a floor.
yeah, right.
But you
But
could do
either
put
way,
an
it's like-
extension ladder for the rest.
that's why we put it back into place. And but again, we're still using QuickBooks. QuickBooks this is globally what the company does. You've spent $1 million on subcontractors this year.
Yeah.
You've spent, where then in Buildertrend, it's like this job, this is what you thought you were going to spend on the sub. This is what you did, and like it's just broken
Proposed
down.
to actual.
But
Yeah,
it's,
that would be like our what you all described would be like the financial category. We kind of think of our features in like a few sets. The financial set, super important, right? That's one that we continually work on probably the most.
Mhm.
And then we have like, I don't know if you use like scheduling, like daily logs.
Yeah. Yep.
That's like a project management set. And then communication and files,
Right.
right? Dropbox type thing. You can upload documents, videos, photos. And we also have some pre-con stuff, but more on like the CRM.
Yeah.
lead
So,
management
so
stuff.
is that like an app? Like if I were to open Buildertrend on my phone, it's the same thing. Like I could go to that folder and find all those images in the drawings.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
and,
also
and
like,
subs can upload
Yeah.
them. Like our architect will say, "Hey, I just uploaded SK2."
So you could share that folder.
Yeah, and
You
then
share
can,
what you
and
want.
then you can control who sees that file. So it does. I mean, we still use Dropbox kind of
I'm
as
not
a
there. I
file
never
cabinet.
used it, but I've used it.
What's that?
Buildertrend.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I've used it and I've used CoConstruct.
Oh yeah. Yeah, those are probably the two names today.
Correct.
I've been in. I don't know. I was the first employee. I don't know if you said that already. You said something to me.
Humble brag.
I mean, I say it a lot, but like, I don't know. I think the next guy was like 2 weeks after me, so like wasn't like.
It was a short-lived.
Yeah, it was like
You're
a
still
short,
the firstborn,
It was a short
so.
reign, but I'm built that way. But I swear we've seen 30, 40 companies come and go. It's just an evolution of software.
I think the company that I used it with
Yeah.
still has it.
Right.
I mean, what I found with that was I've said this before, is that they had a lot of clients that weren't visible or there for the job.
Right.
So it was a great opportunity for us to upload photos. Like right now, I have an issue with it on my end is because I see my clients daily.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, to upload that stuff, it's just a time management thing for me. Is that I get there's a lot of benefits to it, but to me right now, unless I had like probably 2 or 3 clients that came on board where they were remote, and I wanted to do all my business through that would be the platform I'd choose.
But I also think it's a bandwidth thing. It's you and Benny.
Yeah.
Like if I think if it was just 2 people in my company running jobs, then I don't think it would make as much sense, and I wouldn't have dedicated the time to it. I mean, I'm not dedicating the time now. It's like my team.
I mean, what do you think? Is that the biggest hurdle for you guys? Is do people get out of their norm and to be able to stretch into something new like this?
Yeah.
Like comfort zone is a big thing for contractors to get out of.
For sure.
Like at all.
For sure. A couple things that I always talk about is, if you combine real estate and construction, it's one of the biggest industries in the world.
Yeah.
But it's the only one of the top 10 industries that has never gone through a revolution as it relates to technology. We're the last one. So like, to your point, by nature, people are not really willing to do that. And maybe they don't see the value in it either. Maybe that's our fault to not show them that. But like, the biggest hurdle for people is to get onboarded and going on the system and change their ways, right? We talked about like being able to do photos here and email here and QuickBooks here and Dropbox there. It's like, okay, we're going to learn something new now. And nobody likes change.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That was the hardest
I don't
part.
like change.
And that's you have to front load that system quite a bit to be able to get it all onto that. Because right now, I mean, I feel like people start a company and you just open up Dropbox and start dumping stuff in. And now if you tell somebody that's 15 jobs in that you're going to stop doing all that
Right.
and go somewhere else, that's shock and awe.
Yeah, I like to break it down in like the most practical sense. You said something about like taking photos, right? So like right now, or maybe pre-Buildertrend, if you took photos, you would take photos of your phone.
Yep.
And you'd have to email or text it to somebody?
We had a
Or
daily
Dropbox.
log folder in our Dropbox.
Yeah. And so if you're emailing or texting, it typically gets kicked back to you. Dropbox is its own place.
Yep.
With Buildertrend, you would be able to open up the app, take 30 photos, click one button, resizes them all, puts them in the right job, right permission.
Yep.
So like, we don't add more processor for people to do, and none of us do. There's a lot of software out there. It's taking the processes you're already doing and hopefully doing it faster.
Right.
And that's the job of the product.
More efficient.
To be that. Yeah. So it's kind of selling that dream and then that reality is what's going on.
What were your pain points when you used it at the other company?
I don't. God, I hate doing that. When I think like 6 different things jump into my head at once, and I'm like,
I feel like that's like every second of your existence.
it really is. It's painful. No, I think
At least that's how I perceive it. You're that put together.
Yeah, man. But no, I think that I understood the software. It was something that I had to adopt immediately when I got into that company, and I saw the worth of it. But I didn't use it to its full capacity, and I just didn't understand if I wasn't going to use something to its full extent. Meaning, when I really got not a conflict with it, but where I got discouraged from it was when you had to dial in all your subs into the software, and then you were updating them. And in New England, in construction, it's so organic and fluid that it's changing all the time, whether it's weather, whether it's someone's availability, whatever. I just didn't trust it, to be honest with you, to put all my guts into that, where I am a PM, if anything else. I mean, right now I probably product managed as much as I was a carpenter, so it's 50-50, probably 12, 15 years each. So it's like, probably not, doesn't add up. But it's
I'm not a math guy either, so it's fine.
But it's just, my point is that it was, I'd rather call the guys and stay on them than to give up that control, I think.
Yeah.
And that's really tough.
Yeah, I think it's tough for a lot of people. That's back to like, how do we change from what we know that works, even though we're constantly thinking there's got to be a better way or easier way, but it still works, right? Like, why would we change? But yeah, that's something that our team tries to tackle all the time.
Because I found myself updating that software every week like they told us to.
Yeah.
But then I'd still be calling all the guys. So I'm like, why am I still doing both?
You felt like you were doing double the work.
Yeah, and I was just like, what do I give up? And I would sit there and go, I can't give up using the software, but I physically and emotionally can't give up texting and calling guys. And texting wasn't as relevant back then, where now, like, you wake up in the morning, before you even roll out of bed, you've sent 15 text messages to be like, hey, just want to make sure you're still coming, boom, 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 boom. and that's just my management style, and I don't know how to get my management style across on this type of a platform.
Right.
Yep.
That makes sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. I mean, I think there is a big benefit of Buildertrend as it relates to accountability with subs and vendors, right? Like, hey, you said you'd be here this day. I have it in writing. You weren't. So what do we do about that, right? And sometimes that's like you don't get paid. Sometimes it's, we don't give you the next job. But in this climate, as I understand, subs and vendors are hard to find, right? When it's really, really busy, and employees. So, yeah, you got to kind of balance that, I guess.
Yeah,
go ahead.
your company, you don't necessarily have employees. Nick is bringing on more employees too, which I'm sure that it helps on that end of things. I think that when you hit that kind of turning point where who was it, Mike, even working on that one staircase going into the basement scribed against the brick, where
that's when I thought you were
Nick has a number in his head as far as how long this is going to take, and he's not conveying that information to his employee. Nobody knows what that budget is. This now gives him something. He has the budget. It's in writing. They can see it. They can see it where they're like, wait, we just spent 3 additional weeks on this there was only 3 weeks in the first place for it.
You could let the platform be the bad guy.
It's also
Yes.
I mean, John, you have had to run into a situation where it's probably not as much on a spec. I know you hate using that word, but like a custom, right? Like you get drawings for a job, and then there's missing information. Like for me, from a commercial background, if there's missing information, there needs to be a record. Yeah, there needs to be a record of it. So, yeah, I'm still calling, or my guys are still calling and saying, hey, what's up? Like, what are we using for siding material? Oh, it's boral. Okay, great. And then we follow up with the RFI, like, hey, please just confirm siding material, just so it's in writing. So when we put boral on the house and the client walks by and is like, I didn't want boral. It's like, well, when I called so-and-so, they told me to use it.
That scenario, agree with you, I would still check with the client.
Agreed. If that would, yeah.
So why do I need the platform?
Yeah, you could do that through the platform.
But the client changes his mind. I never said that.
Well, that's my problem. That's a management issue, meaning that's your connection with the client, and that's not something that can be solved by page 31 of your contract and spec on this page. You have to have somebody
having that backup.
But it's not a Band-Aid, or it's not a fix for everything. You kind of have to take, just like anything else, you have to pull out of it what works for you and what doesn't. If you're not comfortable with that, then maybe that's not advantageous for you to put your energy into that, but maybe there is something you can get out of that. Just having everything in one spot that makes sense to you.
Like appliances, right? Like my sub or my architect can go in and upload all the selections. The homeowner can then go in and click which appliances they want.
I don't think you understand how against this I am.
No, I do.
It's my job. It's my job as a manager to facilitate that information to that person. And you're giving them away, hey, go get it, do this. No, I'm going to send that email, and then you can see if they open it or not.
But now your plumber needs to know where the gas line goes for the range.
My PM would be on there marking it.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
they
more
also
about
need the specs for the electrical, like which plug.
I staple them on the walls.
I know. I like this conversation.
Most people won't go and do the work, so I have to bring that to them because that makes it easier for them. So they're going to want to come to my job instead of going to your platform to look at all this, look at it on their phone. Yeah. Sorry, Puff.
But that's so you're stapling on the wall. What if you can't? What if you can't? What if you forgot to print them out?
I have to go print them out.
Yeah.
Right. It's just
my safety to that is I could always text him the PDF.
Yeah.
But I don't want him looking on his phone because here's the thing is it's our job right now with the economy the way it is and the way subs can throw their numbers at whatever they want and get those jobs. The only thing I have is a relationship and to make things easier for them.
Yeah.
Like I just had this conversation maybe 4 podcasts ago about a spec house. How do I save money in the spec house? I can't pull, if I built a house here and then 3 houses down I have the exact same style house, one of Vintage Builders' houses, I can't take the baseboard plugs out of the second house that were in the first house when it's on the same neighborhood. That's how I could save money, but that's a quality thing. So what it turns into is that when I had John, the new guy, come on board, it's like, hey, the burden's on us to lay out this and make it easier for the electricians to work to save $3,000. Mm-hmm. So I don't think, and again, this is where you guys can correct me and jump on the horn here, is that me giving them an option in an app to go dig up all their information, they won't do it.
But I'm not saying that they're going in there to do the work. It's just one place that all that stuff lives. So when they do need it, or they spill coffee all over the spec, I'm throwing out there.
Who's they? Subs, vendors?
Subs. I mean, vendors you're sending.
How many? On a job?
Any given day, 16, 17.
16? What if 5 of them did and the other 10 didn't? Those 5 phone calls you don't have to have, right?
No, I'm guessing. I still have to check with them, make sure they have it.
Yeah. Well, I think
I'm already touching
it's
them.
a lot about accountability, but like you had made a point earlier about clients. People use online banking, right?
Yep.
But their bank's like a couple blocks away from their house. Same concept.
You're
like
saving
clients,
them the trip.
Clients, well, it's more about communication flow, right? And it's what they expect in a situation when they purchase a product or deal with a different company. They expect online access to information. Every other part of our world, right? Except when I do my biggest investment in a home or a remodel. That I don't think makes sense to consumers anymore. Just doesn't.
Well,
so like being able to log in, even when I'm at work, even because it's my anxiety, even because I'm doing it 3 times in a row, to see like a general schedule or like that change order I signed 5 days ago for $7,000 because I forgot how much it was. Was it 7? Was it 6? I think it's a peace of mind for them, even if they're right next door to you. And it will eliminate a lot of miscommunication and a lot of phone calls that are happening. Even though those phone calls are important, right?
My
to
biggest
create
thing
that
here is
relationship.
I'm not bashing Buildertrend. I
No, I
just
know.
think guys need to understand here that it's the same as the tile conversation we had earlier.
Yeah.
Means and methods have to be there, because if you don't understand how to manage a project or manage a client or manage a sub, you can put any platform in front of them and they won't know how to use it.
Right.
That's why the training's key, but it's really the processes. Is that I think that's why you jumped into it, Nick, in the initial part was, hey, I've got all this work. I've been able to sell it all. I'm not going to be able to run it and write the process at the same time.
Right.
They can't, one's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
So then you lean on this. And my point is here is that I don't dispute that this is a great option for people to source everything they need. Because I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I know what I put everything.
Yeah.
So I get it, but there's a lot of people that need where
But
it's
like
not even
anything.
close to being structured as me.
Yeah, like anything, it's not. This isn't replacing anything. This is a different way to go.
It's just a tool
you
at
still
the
need-
end of the day.
You still need to understand how the budget works. You still need to communicate with your subs. I am certainly, and my team is certainly not relying on Buildertrend saying, no, the specs are in there. Like you should have downloaded them. We're still having the natural conversations. It's just a place that stuff lives, that everyone, anyone that is part of that project has access to it.
It's funny. The only thing I give Dropbox access to is for architects to dump new stuff into it, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's the only thing.
So you've never tried. Maybe you just got to give it a try.
I tried Buildertrend.
No. I mean, like, you keep saying, like, they won't go get it. You never know. Maybe they surprise you.
I think that at the
You
end of the
probably- you
day,
probably know better than
I
me.
got too many gray hair to
at
be
the-
surprised anymore.
at the end of the day, I think that it's just like any other tool. You know, whether it's a.
I think
it's
this is
an
filling a
act-
gap for people.
No, I don't. I think if it's used incorrectly, it's filling a gap. You know, but I think that if you know your systems and you know your processes, and this can simplify 1/10 of what you're doing.
Right.
You know, it doesn't need to be everything, or it's like somebody double checking everything, or something to refer back to, or it saves you 5 phone calls a week, whatever it may be. I
Agreed.
think that just like we had the discussion with the tile, you need to know the ins and outs and the basics before you dive into this. You know, you're not going to start your business.
It's not a
maybe,
replacement.
Maybe you
Right.
integrate Buildertrend into your business from day one, but like
That
you're
would've
not
been
going to
so much easier.
You know, nobody can just
Right.
start a business and like Buildertrend's going to make you successful. It's,
Right.
You have to know all your materials. You have to know your methods. You have to have the relationship. Everything has to be there
I mean, I
in
think-
order for you to be
I think
successful.
QuickBooks could be just as scary.
I think any software,
Right.
like every piece of software I've ever bought, it's like it's a learning curve, and I don't have the patience for that stuff, so I give up.
But
on
I mean,
it.
that's what's great about Buildertrend, in that what you have for resources.
Look,
Right.
now he's like he loves Buildertrend now. You
Well,
hear this?
yeah. I think he always
I'm
has.
sitting in front of a big blue
I
bus.
think he has,
You got
too.
a bus.
I'm doing really good right now.
That's it. That big RV can get started anytime. Yeah, you're in the crosshairs. No, I think you made a really great point. It's you can't just like be a restaurateur and then decide to use Buildertrend and become a construction company, right?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't work that way. You have to have some base knowledge and processes, and
It's
so
not
I
going to
think
take
that was
everything
great.
away.
Yeah.
Not a silver bullet.
No, I
Yeah,
mean, I
exactly.
could get my job done without certain tools. But if there's something, I still, or you could give me any tool, I still need to know where I'm going with that tool. I need to know how to get from A to B. And I could choose 3 different tools to get there. Some are better than others. Some work 100%, some 75%. But like, you still need to know. All that knowledge has to be. There's not somebody who's going to be more successful than you who has the same capacity, the same drive, and the same experience just because they use Buildertrend.
Well,
I think that if it gives somebody an opportunity like Nick to kind of cross his T's and dot his I's, or simplify things where it's all on one platform, or 30% of his business is in one spot rather than 5% of his business being in one spot.
Tyler, but you do a lot. Like you help with the selections. You help with tile. Like you're communicating with the client. Like, have you ever considered what is your process?
No, honestly, I never have, and it's like it probably could be beneficial to me, realistically. And again, I would probably use a much smaller percentage of it than you do, but even just having everything in one spot, because right now it is like, if it's emails, if it's Dropbox, if it's selections, I do like John, because I'm so hands-on, I like having all of my specs in a folder for me to go over with my subs in person. But like, at the same time, I'm downloading them offline.
Right.
So if it's a matter of me downloading them offline while I'm at my computer and putting them there, it's not that much more work at that time to know that if I don't get on top of it, or I don't remember to print them, or I don't remember to get them out there, that somebody does have access to it. So it probably would help. I don't think I'd use it to its full capacity, but it probably would help refine my process to some extent.
Because like one of the biggest things, and John, for Benny, his projects, you're not checking in on those jobs every day, right?
Every week.
Right. So
we talk every day, but
what, for me, the biggest thing is that at the end of the day, I get a sneak peek into what happened every single day on every job. Like, is there a process for that for you? Besides text message or a talk?
I mean, I know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
I know exactly where the product is. I know what pulses it. I'm not me looking at what someone's going to update. I look at it more like I'd rather see him make 16 more phone calls than input it into a software. And then it's my job to go there and check on it.
Well, what's the communication like now between you and him? A phone call?
Text message, phone
text
call.
Message?
Here and there.
It would take him 30 seconds to do a daily log, add photos, track the weather. You may want to jump in on that. It does. But I would just tell you, you got to make a great point.
I'd rather turn my phone on.
I'd rather make him make 16 phone calls. He could make 17.
Yeah.
No, but I get what you're saying. I mean, I think the number one thing is like, if you look at where a lot of construction companies, you probably listen to this, maybe like where they've lost the biggest amount of money on a job, probably communication was the root, right, of that, and accountability.
Yeah.
And when Nick asked me what is Buildertrend, I think the first thing I said was a communication platform. I mean, I don't really think of it as a budgeting software, as a bids PO software. Those are features within our platform, but the core is
communicating to
how
that
are
triangle.
we communicating, who said what when, and where's the record of it, right? I mean, everybody's lost money on change orders, right?
Yeah.
$400 there, $5,000 there. If a team decided to create a change order every time we had that conversation through the Buildertrend platform or any platform that makes it easy for you, it feels like that process, not our platform, is probably a good move for people, and we just make that fast, right?
Yeah.
The vehicle. So that's kind of the concept.
It goes back to that process. Is that it's set up for you. You just got to follow the templates.
Right. We have change orders, but if in your business you guys just verbally kind of talk about change orders and don't note them, well, you probably won't use that part of our system, right? So it's not going to benefit you.
Yeah, you're not going to use it either way.
Right.
What about, you have a certain amount going on that you can handle in a certain day, and there's a lot of guys and girls out there who don't have the same mental, physical capacity that you have.
They shouldn't be doing as much work.
That was a compliment, right? That was
kind
good.
of.
Not sure.
I think it was.
But I feel like there's a lot of people out there
who
who have trouble keeping all of that straight. And I think that...
So maybe they shouldn't be doing that much work.
It's not even that much work. It's just some people, it's like, hey, I need to write this down. I need to log this. And then they get distracted and something else happens. No, I mean, it's...
Then they're not going to take the 30 seconds it takes to get on the app.
Sure, they can. If they know that works for them, they can. If nothing else works, or hey, I don't have a pen on me, when I get to my truck, I'll do it. Everyone has their phone on them all the time. And I think the basis for this, just like it could be any other software, it could be Excel. Like, you don't use Excel to its full capacity. There's no way. What you could, but you use it for what it is. Yeah. And like, I think that Excel doesn't solve your business for you, but you still invest the time in Excel because there's a certain aspect of it. You didn't go into business with Excel. You've learned to integrate it into your business.
Doesn't cost me X amount of dollars a month.
No, but it also doesn't do a lot. You can't upload photos.
If you spent X amount of dollars on this software, you would want to use 80 to 100% of its capabilities.
But we talked about construction, technology revolution. This is interesting. So the average small business spends about 1.5% of their total annual revenue on IT tech, right? The construction industry is less than 0.5%. So these small businesses understand, yes, there's a cost, but there's a return, right? Like, I think that's one of the things construction companies need to get comfortable with. Nobody likes spending money, right? But nobody spends money just to spend money. They get a return from it, and they can grow their business, make it more efficient, make more money every job. And so I think that is one of the things we're trying to get people to understand, is that we're not here just to take your money and you get nothing from it. We deliver a service, hopefully at a very high level, and you get a very high return on your money. Yeah, and the same thing with any software, right?
True.
So, something to think about.
Anyone I've spoken to about it, and I haven't gotten that in depth with it, for what they use it for, has been happy. I mean, and I know from Nick, it's been customer service. Like, the ability to have somebody there to field a call or help you out.
I mean, this is my sales pitch. I think that their customer service is by far, like, any industry, any software, lumber company, anything I've ever dealt with, they've been the best at that. And it's very much like, that's the reason that we went back. That's the reason that my entire team is in for it, because I call Brad, my coach, and say, Brad, tomorrow I'm having everyone in the office. Do you mind spending an hour walking through a couple of the issues that we have? Yep, no problem. I'll see you tomorrow at 9. And then or I'll shoot him an email. Brad, I have no idea how to make this PO connect to a change order. I get an email back with a video saying, hey, Nick, this is how you do it. Do this, do this, do this. And it's back in my email. And that's, frustrating from a software standpoint, is that everything, like other things I've tried in the past, all different things like bookkeeping and expense tracking, I give up on it because there's no support there. And that's the biggest thing for us, is that it is simplifying a lot of our process, and it's kind of collectively putting it in one spot so everyone has access to it, and all the eyes and ears that are part of that project get to touch it. But it's more the fact that when there's an issue, that it's quickly resolved. When we have an opinion on how we could make it better, or what would work better for us, or we needed to do this, it's heard. And it's more times than not, it's like the next update, and it has it. Yeah.
As far as the coaches, why they're good, we feed them well, and there's a full bar.
Yeah. So I want to get into we talked about how we want to talk about your culture there. It's like, you guys started as a tech company, basically.
Yep.
Building software, websites, and then kind of just fell into the niche market of builders, remodelers, general contractors. But who is the company?
Let me interrupt. How many people are in the company?
Over 400 now.
And how many do you have here?
About 90.
So you have a quarter of the people for your company here.
Yeah.
I mean, I have 50%, but
try booking rooms for 90 people.
No, but that to bring a quarter of your company when you're 400 people, that's a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, it's important to us. I mean, I think what we've learned, this is really the only opportunity all year long that we get to meet our clients and meet prospects face to face. Everything we do is online, over the phone, screen shares, Zooms. And so in one respect, it's great for our clients to meet who we are and understand that sort of level of it, that we actually, one of the things, can we curse on this podcast?
I already did 3 times.
Yeah.
So we have 3 big words on the wall at our company. It's effort, attitude, and give a shit.
Right.
And so I think this is a really good opportunity for us to show that for some reason, a bunch of 400 employees under the age of 30 bring effort every day. They have a great attitude, and they give it construction and construction software. I think people are really taken aback by that. They're like, this cool kid who works at Buildertrend, not me. the cool ones that do. They're like, why does this guy care about my
They're
business?
not the first employee. You know?
Whoever listens, I'm gonna get panned for that one. But yeah, no, we were really like there was like 5-10 of us for the first 10 years, or excuse me, 5 years, and then we started growing gradually to what we are today.
Wow.
We hired about 230 last year.
Also, I mean,
Think about that.
not having people in person.
Got me beat.
He just slid that onto the carpet right there.
He's like,
Just
230 last
That's a
year.
shout out to the
Double-
recruiting and HR team.
double the size of the company.
But when you're calling somebody who's essentially an online company, and you're usually not in a good mood.
No.
So like you're fielding the call because you're frustrated.
Yeah.
Like you're pressed for time, money, and then you have somebody who's gonna answer the phone and then help you.
Well, I always joke because like Brad has a thing in his, his signature, like book time if you have questions, and Molly in my office is always filling out the form and like picking a time. I just call, and it rings and it's like, oh, this is Brad. I'm like, Brad, it's Nick. He's like, what's up? He's like, I got like 5 minutes before my scheduled call. I'm like, I just need to run through this real quick.
But like, have you ever called me like, hey Brad, I just want to call and tell you thanks.
You know what?
You're
I'm
always
going to.
calling because you need
He's
something.
here somewhere.
He's here.
I gotta say,
he's here. We'll do that in person. You know, funny enough, on both sides of that coin, you're not the only one in construction that just says screw the rules and I'll just call anyway.
Oh, I can't. I mean, I imagine.
And that's really what it's majority. So we understand that. But we do get people who call and say, hey, thanks.
Just
Well,
not
Just
Nick.
not.
Just not Nick. So
Wow.
that's a personal
All
issue,
right.
Nick.
Jeez, now I know.
No, we do this. We started this Buildertrend University last year.
Yep.
It's 2 days in Omaha, which is like, who wants to go to Omaha in February? But they do.
Mistakes, right?
Steaks are good. Yeah. It's
Be
12
hitting that
inches
up.
of snow and like 20 degrees right now. That's why we have so much beer. But last time, this woman came up and gave one of her coach a hug. She like been through like a car accident and had like brain trauma. She owned the business.
Wow.
And like she like met with him like every day for like 4 weeks, and he had like kind of really talk her through some stuff to like relearn. And yeah, it was pretty cool.
What
That's
is the
crazy.
training like? Because I can't imagine these kids, because you said they're all under 30, are builders or remodelers. So for me to think about using the program not as a builder, because everything is it drives. Are you guys training them like, here's a construction project, run this all the way through completion?
Correct. Yeah. So it's very rigorous. Like, you do not get on the phones with a client or become a coach for a very long period of time. And I think that's kudos to that team and their leadership. They've got a great program, like a Construction 101, right? And then within that concept, here's how Buildertrend plugs in, and here's all the different things you're going to hear from your builders too. One's a remodeler, one's a builder, one does fences. So be ready to pivot and understand each person's reason for doing something.
Fences was an interesting choice. My father owns a fence company.
We got a lot of fence
He
companies.
knows about you. He dug in.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Knows the background.
My
Yikes.
research team. Yeah, no, they're a great group, and we have fun, so it's good.
So, and you guys are all in Omaha, right?
Yeah. So the 3 owners are from there. Most of the original employees are from there as well. We just kind of all knew each other. They say don't hire your friends, but for us, when times were tough, the friends were the ones who were willing to work their ass off for the business. So, I mean, I've never really understood that one. But from there,
Depends
we've
on the
expanded.
friend, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the friends. But from there, yeah, we just continually built the team, and everybody's still in Omaha. We put a lot of value in being there and understanding like the person next to you. We have a culture of accountability. Like I think I was mentioning to you, like the person next to you knows how many phone calls you took. So if you're slacking off, the guy next to you knows. Like everybody's gonna work hard.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna play hard together, and like everything's above the board and accountable.
I think that's where the difference lies, even with the saying don't hire your friends. I think the issue comes up when somebody has less stake or somebody feels like they're kind of carrying the weight of the company.
Right.
And if everyone's in it with the same goal and puts the same amount of effort and energy into it, even if it's just fielding phone calls, trying to just keeping up with everyone else, I think that's where you end up being successful.
Yeah. People hate when like a coworker gets promoted or gets praise, and they're like, I know that guy's not working
Exactly.
as hard as me.
It's
Right.
like he gets paid
Yeah.
more than me and does way
Yeah.
less than me.
It's cancer. I mean, then
Never
really
everyone
works
else
out.
is like, I'm not going to work that hard.
Yeah. Because it's unfair.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, some people think like, man, my phone calls and like my work's going to be put out there every day for everybody. It's like, yeah, that's how it works, and it works well.
So what's changed with you guys? I mean, I'm sure it's everything, but what are the biggest changes you've seen since you guys started within the industry? Like, you guys have to have your pulse on kind of what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's the computers in our pockets, right? Like, that's just the obvious one. I mean, it's game change, and it's probably the mobile phone and the mobile are like the apps, or excuse me, the iPads and stuff. They've got to be. This industry had to benefit the most business-wise out of those, right?
I think so, yeah.
Right? Because we're always in the field. It's always field-to-office communication. So, I think right now that's what it was. We invested early in mobile apps, and like you can do a lot there. And I think it's just trying to get the rest of the industry to understand, like, instead of using like all 7 of these apps on your phone, maybe you can do it in one place. That's what we were talking about. So that's kind of where we're going. But definitely the mobile app store.
Do you think the industry itself being so busy, like what has that done? Like obviously you guys grew double last year, right?
Yeah.
But and you guys are constantly working on product development and constantly working on adding stuff to your platform. What are some of the biggest things that are being requested for that?
Yeah, I think right now, like, the product team used to be add stuff. Now it's like, let's just take what we have, feature-wise, and let's continue to deepen the functionality, or make it easier to use, or make it easier for subs to use this feature, or whatever it is. So I think it's just like never understanding, like, hey, we have the most widely used program. Let's just sit there and hang out. It's like we're always going to get better.
John, what's the hardest thing for you from a project manager? Regardless if software can help, but like what's the biggest pain point?
Time management.
Yeah.
For yourself.
Yeah. Committing to too many things in a day.
Yeah.
It can happen in a matter of minutes.
Right.
That you can say yes to 3 text messages, a phone call, and an email, and then you walk the rest of the site, and you've already overcommitted.
Right.
For the entire day. Jeez, for the entire week. That you literally can't get out of that, and that's the biggest thing, and that's understanding your bandwidth and understanding what your capabilities are and what your subs capabilities are, and not saying, hey, so-and-so is coming here, the framer, so make sure the stock's here, and then it's not there, and then you haven't relayed back to X, Y, and Z that the stock's not there.
Right.
And everyone's going to get pushed today. I think it's understanding what my bandwidth is, and that's been the hardest part this past year, is that I've changed the environment that I worked in over 5 years. May not have changed all the subs, but or the location, but that isn't a big enough change that it impacts a project. So it's been a recalibration year to figure out, instead of saying, hey, with the economy the way it is, that I can't build stuff 6 to 7 months.
Right.
Now I want to say 10, come in under, look like a hero. It's not my usual. I usually try and be more accurate, and then if I got to shift things, I'll shift it, but I'd rather not have that conversation, rather just focus on coming in under. So that's my biggest thing, and I think that's a common problem for a lot of people.
I'm gonna go back to this, and hopefully I'm not hammering it too much, but what we found is, like, the construction industry is really, I wouldn't say afraid, but I'll just use that word of, like, saying it's going to be done on March 14th and it being done on June 1st. And it's going to look like I'm the problem. But if you communicate the entire time about why it's now June 1st, it's because we had the delay. You saw that when I posted it. It's because your selection that you made on your faucet was 2 weeks late. You had the deadline. We communicated when you were 2 weeks late, there's a delay. Like, I think a client, and just specific to that conversation of, like, I don't want to have that conversation, I think a client would be okay if they just were all clear about what happened when and why.
The clients are good with it. It's just having time to have that conversation.
Right.
I don't know if I'm explaining it the right way, but it's like, there's so many things, you can have all these conversations. It's just, if I can not have a couple of them, and get home at 4 instead of 5.
Yeah, we said
that. That's really,
I mean,
what
we
it
talk
comes
about
down
it all the time. It's like, like change orders, right? We use Buildertrend for it, but any process that you do for a change order, one of the biggest things that we always forget is that, does this add time?
Right.
And are you including that in your change? So yeah, they add this change order to the job, and it's going to add 14 days to the schedule, but you don't tell them that because you forget, or it doesn't say it on the change order.
Well, I mean, here's the thing is, I do mess around with it both ways, meaning, we talked about this before, is if you can lump it in, you're already there managing. You're being paid a management fee for the entire day, the entire week. So if it can slide in under that and it's not extra handling, like for tile, for instance, it's like, if there's a tile that they picked, 8x8 square tile, and then they turn around and say, hey, I want a 45, that tile, and I want it to be, laser jet. There's a lot more handling involved there. And it's probably going to add a day, but that day is going to fall inside my management.
But it's that's a small example. But like, say they add an entire living room of built-ins, right? Yeah. It's like, all right, that's going to add 2 weeks to my schedule because I got to build them on site. And you're like, yeah, it's $20,000, and then they sign off, and it's like, it's not that you're telling them 2 weeks because you're padding your schedule. You're covering yourself. So maybe you come in under, maybe it's absorbed, but at least you're.
But you have to add management to that as well. That's the problem. That's the hardest part, is that you're already probably capping out your management fee for most products. So then when you start adding 2 weeks, you're adding 2 weeks of management fee to something that's a built-in. And then when you put that in front of a client, geez, if I look at that email, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to cut that number down. I'm not going to add $1,500 to $2,500.
But you don't have to add the management to it.
But if you're adding time, if it's going to extend your deadline, if it's going to extend your overall completion date, then you have to, because your management's only running so much.
Sure.
You're only cutting checks for so many weeks. So if you're going to add to the deadline, even though you're doing it because you not want to save grace but want to set the right expectation, you have to look at it as your budget is. If I'm going to add 3 weeks, all these change orders, we used to do that with your schedule and have a management fee tacked onto it. Maybe it's a discounted rate, whatever it is, but you are tagging it on. But that's honestly, that turns into scope creep in a lot of ways. Yeah. Is that you can then add into that, and then clients get really bitter about how that situation folds.
I think what my point is that, at least for us, communicating the financial impacts, but also possible schedule impacts of work, and having it's not like you selected it, you saw it, you signed off on it, like pushing it back on them.
But it just still doesn't change the fact that you got to do the legwork to create this change order.
No,
so that's really where the fall guy is in this whole situation. You can have any platform you want, but if you're not good about your time management,
absolutely.
You guys have that discussion, and you don't go and do the math, and it takes 3 weeks, and then you impact the schedule. That's why most guys don't add time to schedules and change orders, because it's your own fault.
Do you guys all have that conversation with clients? I'm just curious, like, hey, we're going to do a job for $70K for a kitchen. In Nebraska, maybe. Does that even work in Boston? Is it a very small kitchen?
Small kitchen. Yeah.
Okay.
It's hardware.
It's hardware. But, like, is there like, hey, if you want to change something, we're going to have a conversation, and you're going to get a quote, and there's going to be a management fee on it, and you're going to get a time.
Yeah, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't we just follow up with that journey? Do you
time
think
management.
So that's it.
That's what it is.
So
half the time is that you're like, I'll get around to it. Same thing we talked about the notebook and XYZ, and making that note is like, oh my God, let me see what that number is. I told them it would be $15K, and you try and make it as casual as possible, just to make it, as efficient as possible for all parties. Meaning, hey, I think it's gonna probably be around $15K.
Right.
And they go, yeah, I'm game for that. Then you need to follow up with, hey, here's my breakdown of what that $15K is. Maybe it's 12. You look like a hero.
Right.
But then getting that back to them in an email, like, so how I do it is just that. Hey, you're probably looking at X amount of dollars. I'm not going to waste my subs time bidding it. You're looking at this much. They said, yeah, let's do it. All right, let me get the numbers. I dial it in with them, get it back, send them an email, all everything broken down, quick and dirty email. Here's everything, blah, blah. They say, love it. I then forward that to my accountant, my bookkeeper, and she puts it right in the QuickBooks. And it
Do
goes
they
out.
sign for it?
What's that?
Do they sign for it?
No, they don't sign for it.
Well, that's probably a step, right?
No.
Legally,
I mean,
I feel like you're supposed to sign off on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what we talked about earlier, it's like, and I think you were saying,
I have a written approval that way.
Yeah. It's just the vehicle, right? Like, you could do all of that in a construction platform, like get a bid.
There's a lot of things we could do here, guys.
Yeah.
I could have a subcontractor agreement. I could have XYZ done. But do you have your sub-signing agreement for every single job?
Or a year?
Yeah.
You like a yearly one?
No, but each job's different. Like, you have a contract for each one. I don't sign a single contract with a sub. I don't
You could probably do that through Buildertrend.
Probably could. I'll look into it.
I have a question. So, typically, these construction softwares are going to, I guess, market themselves. I feel like larger companies are going to explore this as an option. Mm-hmm. How would you sell this to a smaller company?
Like yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's a small company?
Yeah.
Like
What
revenue-wise?
benefits? What
Two guys?
benefits would you
Kitchens and
have
baths.
for a smaller company, who has one or two guys and a couple of subs, or a specialty contractor
Not
where
you,
they
a guy
don't? Yeah, but they have like they don't have the volume, but like how's this going to benefit somebody? And I think that it, like, for yourself too, because I think that your market is probably larger scale companies where it's trying to, the communication really with people there's a lot more and a greater potential for a lack of communication with more people involved. So like on the smaller level, how's that helping?
Well, I think it comes down to asking that company in the stage of their life, what are your goals? Like in the next year, do you want to sell more jobs? Do you want to hire more people? Do you want to, everybody can get better, right? Our company can get better every day. And so it's not like saying that somebody can't, but it's like, what is your desired outcome of the next year? If that is giving yourself more time to do more sales because you're doing less project management, then I could show you 3 features that'll get you there. Whether you're a one-man show or 2-man. I think the real key would probably be revenue, just like can you afford a monthly fee? But our clients are anywhere from $250,000 in revenue up to a pretty large number, but that bulk is in like 1 million to 5-10 million, and you can get to 1 million fairly quickly with some high-end jobs, and you could be a one-man show. So I think that the reason we got successful is that when we started, it was the approach of enterprise sales to the national, regional home builders, and forget about the small to medium-sized construction company. We don't have something for you, and I think that that's really where our target's always been, is like there's, by a few different stats, there's probably 2 to 3 million contractors in North America. 85% do not use anything. So that's a pretty big opportunity to show people what that could do for their business depending on what their goal is, right? So I think it's just all about what hopefully you're thinking forward to your business, like where we want to go. And I think once we find that answer, we can kind of show them that maybe we could get you there.
Yeah, I'd just be curious, because I personally do feel that so much of this, it's not even considered for smaller companies. And
that's exactly why I gave up on it when it was just me in the management side. It was like I don't have the time to dedicate to this.
Yeah.
Like at the same time, you'll probably would feel like you're in the same position where it's like I have 2 guys, but what I'm realizing now and is why it's so important is that everyone's on the same page and everyone has access to the same information. So when a change order is approved, everyone is on board with that. Like my guys in the field know what it is, and then it's like they're also like my subs know that, hey, that fireplace that they were considering adding, that got approved, and here's the PO for it. And that way it's taking the commercial side of the commercial side of construction that I was in for 4 years, and bringing that into the residential side to help streamline the process, which ultimately at the end of the day is making our bookkeeping easier, because we're simplifying we're adding steps from a technological standpoint, but it's simplifying it at the end of the year where we know where all these job costs are. We know what, those little Home Depot charges that, we made 75 of them on this job, like they accurately got applied to a project, and realizing that, hey, the next time we need to make sure that we have like a $1,000 line item in there for consumables, because we never even considered those. And years prior, they were strictly just ripping out of our overhead as just like random crap that we were buying.
I have a fasteners line item.
Right.
Because it's all end up being crap that you buy.
Right.
You just build to that.
And it's like you're doing the same thing, John, is like you're tracking it, and you have that history. I'm utilizing it with, basically I think we have 8 of us are all working on it on a daily basis. So they're all seeing it, how it's impacting the budget, the schedule. They're learning the cost coding. So when they are tracking something or they're buying something, they're understanding what this stuff actually does to the company and to the job.
To the budget, yeah.
Well, I think that for a small business, especially in this world, there's a level of professionalism when you go to market, right? So if you're talking to a homeowner who wants to do, they're probably business professionals, right? They want to do a high-end kitchen or bath. They're expecting a level of professionalism or systems organization where a lot of times they don't get a call back, by the way. 1 in 5 contractors call people back that send a lead into them, which is wild to me. But let's say they are getting quotes from 3 different kitchen guys. One's on a piece of paper, one's in an Excel form, and one is in a platform like ours where it's dialed up with your logo, and you say to them, hey, during this job, here are our milestones, and you're gonna be able to log in every day, and it's gonna be an app on your phone. When you're out to dinner with your friends, you can show them photos. You can share those photos on Facebook. I'll keep you updated. Here's the budget. Like, that makes somebody feel really good.
I'd say 80% of
About
our
their
clients
contractor.
once they see it, that even even the architects and designers, they sell it to the client. Like,
Right.
oh yeah, they use this software. Like, you can dial in and see what's going on. But for you, it's like if you got to a level where Steve went off on his own or someone else, then being able to, like, you can text and chat. But I like being able to go in at the end of the day and just seeing pictures, seeing how many guys are on site. Not because I don't think anything is going on, or not that I'm still talking to them throughout the day, but seeing the pictures, and that gets me excited when I see the north elevation on that Newton job come together, and Mike gets out there and shoots a photo of it. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Or like I can flag things like on the fly. It's like they put floating shelf brackets in a shower the other day, and they weren't stainless. I'm like, guys, they got to be changed to stainless. Yeah. And I would have caught that probably the next day when I was on the job site, but it gives me that immediate, like, hey, I see something, I can say something.
One story a guy told me, business owner, is like, homeowners, clients, when you're doing multiple jobs, they think their job's the only job you have. They expect you to be in the know of absolutely everything that's going on. So one thing that he does is when he gets a phone call from a client he misses, he takes 5 minutes, goes to that job and goes through the week of the daily logs. When he calls him back, the client feels like he knows everything that's going on,
right.
which is like a really cool thing. So, and you may have the mental capacity to do that on your own, but I think most people, like me, wouldn't be able to do that. So, I don't know.
I don't know how you do it with as old as you are, I think the veins
How old is he? What's going on here?
He
He looks
old.
really young to me. I don't know.
Right?
Just under 40.
Just under 40.
It's like all of us.
Almost.
So
Close.
you guys are starting a podcast.
Yeah.
I heard.
Yeah. I think we're zeroed into the name. There's a little discussion there.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
Builder
for
trend.
Yeah. we're not sure.
We're thinking
shoot with the simplest one.
Buildertrend.
I think we're going with the Builder Code, a podcast by Buildertrend.
Okay.
Plays a couple different ways.
Cool.
Code is like software.
Yeah.
We got a ton of those guys at our company. They're fueled on Mountain Dew in our video game room. That's a fact.
I feel like that's probably 75% of America.
Yeah.
Fuel on
Fueled
Mountain
on
Dew.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
They should be a sponsor.
There's a documentary on that, isn't it?
I don't know.
Definitely is.
Netflix.
Yeah, so we're dipping our toes into this world you guys know well. I don't know how it's going to go. Could be terrible. But
It's going to be driven around like the software and helping, just another platform that people can learn from.
yeah, exactly. I think
Is it going to be like, what's the word? Casual? Like, is it a casual conversation or like in-depth technical episodes?
30 minutes, cut, one topic.
Yeah, it'll be like 30 minutes, very casual. Like we'll bring on probably the co-founders, tell that story I told you, so they can tell from their voice, because our clients love to hear that. They want to know who they're in business with.
Yeah.
And then we would just talk about a feature. Hey, if you're not using this, you
So
should.
to bring on the first employee. Have you ever thought about
I'll
that?
bring that guy on.
I feel like that would resonate really well with your audience.
He's got charisma coming out of his ears. He's amazing. That guy.
But I think like for us, I feel like a lot of our listeners, they're listening week to week because it's a casual conversation where you guys probably in a way it's going to be almost like a menu where you can go in and listen to a podcast based on what feature they want to talk about.
Yeah,
or learn
hopefully.
about.
Hopefully there's a segment of both, right?
Right.
They like maybe hearing what's going on there, or in the industry. Like that, you said something about the Pulse. It's crazy. We do, well over $1 billion in jobs every year in our system, and there's about 1 million users overall. So
Wow.
it's like there's a lot of data there of like sort of what's happening in what region, and like, we know employment's tough and labor and all that. And so we would talk about those things and just see
Cool.
what we're seeing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that would be super helpful to people, especially as you kind of build that catalog of episodes, where it's like, hey, because at first, getting those listeners on board, and everyone's going to be hopping on every episode, but it's going to get to a point where, like, as the new listeners come in, to be able to have that catalog there where it's like, hey, I can go
Run
back
back
and
through.
listen to this, which I think will be helpful. And obviously it takes a long time to get there, but devoting or dedicating a team to that, where that's their main task at that point, I feel like that'd be definitely beneficial to you guys.
Yeah, there's more and more people who tell me they're listening to podcasts like your podcast, and it's just how they
insane.
pass the time, right?
Yeah.
Like in the truck or whatever. Yeah.
Easy.
Especially if having just I think that integrating like some lifestyle into that, where it's not just the technological end of things, would be very helpful for you guys. You know, to bring that in, but also have the backstory there and everything, like that relatable content for people.
Definitely get users on.
That's going to engage them.
Yeah, and that's what I think people like hearing from us, and they like hearing from our clients. They like knowing that we have one thing in common. We all use Buildertrend, so it's like a networking effect. So yeah,
I think it's cool. Like you mentioned BTU, the university. It's like Schluter. It's like they're bringing it back to, we're going to teach you about tile on that episode, and it's like Buildertrend. It's the same. I feel like you talked about how it's not going to be around the software necessarily. It's going to be about the processes. And I think to John's point, like that's the most important part here, is that understanding what the process is and making sure that you're not trying to, like, this isn't a shortcut. You still need to go through that process and make sure the communication is there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I taught a class last year about sales, and I said, call people back. You know, you want business. That's a really good first step.
Right.
And believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's a little.
I love when you call back and they're like, "Oh my God, thanks for calling me back." Yeah. I'm like, man, I feel so bad for you.
It says a lot about the industry, right? But yeah, no, it's definitely about that. Plus, when people find that like there's probably like 30 companies from 24 different states. They create their little networks every month, and like they stay in touch because we're all contractors and we all use Buildertrend, so why not? So that's cool.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we're wrapping up here. We're in, I forget what hall. South.
South, second floor, right?
The Buildertrend. So this episode was again sponsored by Buildertrend. Sitting here with Paul, the VP of Marketing and Sales. I appreciate you spending some time with us.
Yeah.
First employee.
First employee.
We're going to strike that from the
That's
tape.
on his badge.
Doug, edit that comment out.
For the West
all
Coast
7
field.
times it was brought up.
Yeah, please cut that.
Excited to see. I know I am, and my team is excited to see where you guys go in the podcast. And I think myself and 2 of my PMs are going to come out to BTU in April.
Omaha. April's better than right now.
Yeah. Definitely said I wasn't coming right now.
Yeah. You know, we're in Las Vegas. I think everybody knows that, but like we were expecting a little relief from the 15 inches of snow we had and 20 degrees. Not so much.
Not so much.
It's a tough beat. But yeah, we're excited to have you out.
Awesome,
Why don't
man.
you give yourself an extremely shameless plug? Where can we find you? You know, how people get a hold of you?
Not you personally.
I was going there.
You can do both.
My wife wouldn't want that.
It's all you.
Yeah, no, obviously, website buildertrend.com. Sign up for a demo or contact us, and our team will be all over it.
And you guys hit most trade shows too.
Yeah. No, this is our big one, obviously, but we'll do some regional shows.
You doing JLC?
Yeah.
You know, we've done in the past when it's been in Portland and Providence. I don't know if it's on our schedule this year.
We'll be at Providence.
Yeah, Providence.
Providence.
So,
yeah. We'll look at that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming
Appreciate
on.
Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you so much.
All right.
So you can find us at themoderncraftsman.org, _Modern on Instagram. Paul, you forgot. I think you're at Buildertrend on Instagram.
Yeah, that's your world. My marketing team's not gonna like that. So it's at Buildertrend Instagram.
Marketing team's like, hello, Instagram.
We're working all year for this. Instagram, Twitter, it's at Buildertrend. I would follow you on Instagram. I'll give you a plug because that's always fun.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
And this video will be on YouTube. So if you guys want to see the big blue bus or RV, as you keep correcting it,
Drop some comments.
Yeah, let us know. But this wraps up day 1 at the International Builder Show 2019 here in Las Vegas. And
We still got more to do.
we
haven't seen any of the show.
Well, day 1 of podcasting, I should say.
Yes.
We got a couple events to hit and dinner.
Yep.
So appreciate you guys listening. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Thank you.